All right, I did one more ping. I did one more ping. This is the final stand of Thalma Radio for June 21st, 2024. Who will be in here? Who will join? Who will want to be a part of this odyssey, of this adventure that is about to transpire? We wait with bated breath. I need to go take a piss break. Here. I gotta go. I gotta go to the boys' room. I'll be right back. You're the prettiest girl. Oh, you're so sweet. I know. You're so pretty. All right. All right. Listen up. Listen up. It's big boy time. It's big boy time. All right. Where's this Eriko guy? Invite to speak. Eriko. The floor is yours. Well, not really, but I'm inviting you to speak. So the floor can be yours when you're ready.
All right, you hear me all right?
Oh shit. Why don't I hear you? Uh, hello?
Can everybody else hear me?
Yep, you're good now. Let me turn on. All right, how's it going, Erica?
Yeah, going pretty good.
Fucking awesome. I gotta ask. You said earlier you was playing a game. I gotta know what game was it?
Screwing around with Star Trek Online right now.
I've heard of that game recently. Is it pretty good?
It's okay. It's very pay to win. But like there's a blessing and a curse with that. Like for like a little bit of money, you can kind of like get competitive relatively quickly. The leveling missions are as such that you can basically max level without even finishing the story missions, which as like an MMO grind goes, that's pretty cool. I'm just now gotten to the point where I'm starting to approach sort of like the in-game meta, so like to be continued on whether or not like that's worth it or if it's like tragic and terrible.
Is it pretty accessible? Like EVE Online is like the space game, but EVE Online.
Yeah, it's just like insane. EVE in terms of like in terms of accessibility. Like you can absolutely play for free. You can get some decent stuff. You can run missions. You can level your guy. Like you can play hours of content without sinking any money into it. And I would say that the complexity compared to EVE is like it's night and day. Like it's got more features than PNW because everything does, but it's it's not a complicated game to learn. Like the most complicated thing I'm looking at right now is like crafting and stuff, but that's pretty typical MMO stuff in the sense you're getting components, you're trusting a role, and then that feeds out, and then there's a sort of a luck of the draw on if it does crit damage or hull improvement and that kind of a thing, and crit damage is always going to be more highly prized, that kind of thing. So it's pretty typical, but it's not like it's not distractingly painful.
Gotcha. And so you're currently the second command of the Fighting Pacifists. Yeah. So again, we're still talking about your alliance. I want to talk a little more about you. I want to know, like, how did you end up being in the Fighting Pacifists? How did you end up being second in command?
Sure. Let's see. Fighting Pacifists, I actually, joined, just coming out of pandemic, whatever year that was, like tail end of 2020, early 2021, something like that. I could check my nation page and find out, but I don't know, something like a little over 1,000 days in the game. Um, ended up becoming Bellini's 2IC and FA. We got to ride that out. Swapped off to head up Econ, which was like way more my speed for a while. Trained up a guy, Jamie, who's now our head of Econ. His promotion was like, dude, he's just like better at this than even I am. Like, and he was putting in the work. It's like, let me go ahead and just focus on 2IC stuff, which granted like clears my plate tremendously. But at the same time, like we're not about like not promoting people because we don't have a spot. We'll move up and out as needed. So yeah, now effectively it's me and Aligned covering the facilitator position, and we got Schwinn as prime facilitator. So, and that's pretty much the leadership of TFP. Schwinn still oversees day to day of Milcom, and Aligned still oversees day to day of tech. Choice on the fighting pacifist. Yeah. You don't remember what now?
I remember that for a long time, Quitchwe was leader of the Fighting Pacifists. What's he?
Yeah, absolutely. Yeah, so he's he's still in. He still actually comes to the chat off and on. Like a few embassy chats he's particularly keen on, and some of the internal chats in our own server. Kishue was, I think he was, by far one of our longest running leaders. Definitely, kind of oversaw TFP's growth period, at least in terms of quantity of members and what have you. And then that's basically when it transitioned over to the Harry Kaz and that crew kind of phase. Then after that, we sort of rolled on to Ori and Vel, and then that's when we sort of stabilized into where the three of us are at now. So brief interruption with Professor and Banksy as well within the Trinity of Leadership, but yeah, not interruption, but like they served their times and went.
Gotcha. And I will admit, I am very out of the loop on a lot of things. My realm of interest is basically KT, and I talk in a few places here and there, but
oh, for sure. Yeah, I mean,
it's
it's an elite player base that's keeping track of the officer positions in every alliance.
Right, and are making decisions, are really kind of deciding what everyone else does. And I want to ask, what block is the Fighting Pacifist in, and like, why are you guys with that block? Like, what are y'all up to?
I mean, in as far as like up to date FAA stuff is concerned, like I couldn't even speak on that if I wanted to, like, quote, fill you in on everything. In as far as I know, obviously we were part of CIS with Singularity and what have you. We've had a departure since then. And that's pretty much where I'm up to date right now. Like most of my day to day has been like consumed by looking at loans and things like that, going out pleasurably as opposed to in.
You're doing econ work?
Yeah, I still keep my hand in as far as that goes. So kind of like the way that it works is we've got our department heads, but in as far as our facilitators are concerned, like we still have like our areas of emphasis. Like I said, Schwinn does day-to-day Milcom, but he also more or less like shares FA with Jacques Ryder. Jacques, really kind of come into his own. He got to have his first like roasting on your show. That was that was fun. Brought back some memories. And but Schwinn handles the big block work stuff and things along those lines. This is why I'm not really up to date on what's going on with that. Like I'll know our moves before they happen, but I'm not in the day-to-day conversation on that. But in as far as like econ work, yeah, that's a thing. Like if we're gonna loan to an alliance or something like that, we might look for cosigners and negotiate the interest rate and stuff like that. Nothing crazy usurious or anything like that. But that's where my time goes. It's calculating math and thinking about how we want to handle that kind of stuff.
Do you have a real passion for that kind of work?
I like the econ of the game. I think it's the most functional part of the game, which is really saying something. But yeah, it's definitely a thing that I like. It informs wars. I mean, the reason why we all care about net and things along those lines is you're just trying to sop dollars off of somebody. Like, we could theoretically change the game from politics and war to like corporations and lawsuits, and wars are almost no different than certain like predatory lawsuits that are just designed to chisel a company for cash so that they'll go under and things along those lines. Like, I find the metaphor pretty cool.
Hey, now, if you got a lawsuit, we got a court here in house.
Yeah, there you go. There you go.
Right? So you have no like FA, like you don't really do anything about that, right?
No, my brief stint in FA, like I'd like to think that I was a decent solid 2IC for Bellini, but like me in the FA top job was an unmitigated fucking disaster. Like, no, unapologetically so. It's almost along the lines of like the rare times that I will weigh in on FA now. It's either because I'm sitting there saying like, look, there's an easier way to get to where you want to go. I'm all right with that. Or I disagree with something so strongly that it's like, don't let me get back into this because you know how that goes. Like, I blow up entire spheres. Yeah, I do all kinds of dumb shit that just doesn't need to be done. So yeah, no, it's I know about it. I keep track of it. I have a passion for it, but I'm not good in the top job for it. Not at all. As I do a radio show.
Yeah, FA is. FA, you really gotta have the mindset for it. It's very difficult to do.
Yeah, it is. You're combining, and giving a shout out to everybody who does FA. You're combining the self-interest that all alliances have, balancing it with the allyship and the friendship that that you need to give, both in a cooperative game and just for relationships, along with the ability to phrase it the right way on a regular basis. And for me, I can only get one engine firing or the other. I can phrase it the right way and say absolutely nothing, or I can give a fuck about something and say it in a terrible way. And so, or deliver it or handle it in a bad way and get impatient and all of the things you don't want to do. So I find that it's a calling for people who are both strategic and the ability to sort of shut their emotions down when they need to. And I mean that in like the most like complimentary kind of way. They manage themselves well.
It's you got 20 irons in the fire, and they're all burning at different temperatures, and it's like holy fuck, like it's something. And I dabbed in 2017. I was terrible at it, and I've swore it off ever since. I've been so happy to swear it off. It is quite the minefield.
Yeah. Looks like Vel's queued you up a list of questions. I'll let you pick off the list what you want to ask.
Honestly, brother. All right, listen to me. I got 14 more minutes to go. How about you just go through all of them?
Oh boy! All right. Let's see. 14 more minutes. That actually works pretty well for my timetable as well. I'm trying to go earn some crazy, stupid in-game currency on this game. Let's see. Better Milcom, Kaz or Schwinn? I'm not qualified to answer that, and this isn't me trying to dodge the question. We all know Kaz is like a fucking saint. So like in terms of like friendlier contest, Kaz, and that's a hard contest because Schwinn is like the nicest guy you'll ever meet. Milcom though, yeah, I'm not qualified to answer that. Like, I am a Milcom idiot. I do what I'm told during war. Worst government department. IA. And I'm going to say not in the sense that they're bad, but I think that IA has the highest burnout rate. I think that in any alliance where you're trying to manage, more than like 20 core members, and most of us are in alliances that are managing 100 or more, IA just consumes, and it's very difficult to keep staffed. And I think that the alliances that do survive at above 100 members, it's because they really invested in that department. TFP in one word.
I want to speak up here for a second.
Go ahead.
Eriko, my internet is shit. There's just like delay when I talk. That's why I'm a little bit weird. So the thing is that IA and FA suffer from the same problem, which is that you're dealing with people. You know, Milcom people, you got the information, you work with it. Econ people, you got the information, you work with it. IA and FA, you're dealing with people, and fucking that dealing with people is fucking rough. FA is worse because fundamentally it's adversarial.
Small HR versus big HR, right?
Yeah, FA you got competing interests. You know, it's adversarial. As with IA, you know, ideally everyone's part of the same banner. You're under the same banner. You're working towards a common goal. But still, you know, people. You know, you get people fucking, and they talk a good game, and then they quit 3 weeks later, and it's like, oh shit. So that's my 2 cents. Eriko, continue on, King.
Let's see. Still TFP in 1 sentence. You know, we come in peace. Even if we have guns, we're still here for peace. Yeah, there you go. What's the worst that I've ever seen? Ooh, let's see. Okay, if we're talking, and I got to answer this in an econ way, so this is going to, you know, come in 7 parts. I kid. But worst that I've ever seen was probably, who was it that actually passed me? Because I was at 7 bill. I'm at 0 now, by the way, because that's how we earn. Somebody got to 9. I know that naturally they've already since paid down quite a bit as well. And then we had one where like Schwinn took I think he took like a thing to, long story short, he ended up taking on like $4 billion worth of debt. We do that when we make mistakes, like my 20 million in food. Let's see. If FA was a real world fast food chain, who would I be? Oh God. If my FA was a fast food chain. Oh Jesus, like Waffle House, but at like 4 a.m. Like it's like one guy with a chair, like just trying to make your hash browns. Because that's how I do it. Like I shouldn't do FA that way, but that's how I try to do it, and it's terrible. If TFP didn't exist today, where would I be and why? Jeez. I used to have more answers to this question. And maybe it's in light of the game. I like what I do in TFP, and I'll be honest, I don't see doing that job in another alliance. So you know, calmly farming my food if we merged into somebody. Otherwise, I don't know, man. Retire. What alliance do I dislike for really no reason at all? I can tell you that I like the don't mess with the doot. Weaponized assault penguins. I like them for no reason at all. I like them for no reason at all. Who do I dislike for no reason at all? Can I still say Swords of Helios? Like they haven't been around for ages, but can I still say Swords? 100 versus zero taxes make my argument. 100 is the way to go. It really fucking is. Like what we've done in TFP is a free market economy that allows that as an option. but no, I mean if you're talking about growing and pooping cities, 100 is the way to go. Now you got to have a competent econ department. They've got to spend on the right things. You got to grow your land before you push up to the big cities. That kind of dumb shit. But no, it's the way to go. There are a million ways to get there in a free market economy, and you know I'll take questions off the air about that. But yeah, there you go. Hey, yeah, that was fun. That's what I got. If I never went to TAP, where would I have went? I strongly considered Syndicate before I considered TFP. Weirdly enough, you know that econ guy in me. I don't know that I'd go to Syndicate now, but still 9 minutes remaining to live news.
Still 9 minutes remaining.
Dalmore, fill us in 9 minutes.
Oh, buddy, Dalmore, fill us in. Yeah, fill you in 9 minutes, buddy. We're in the final stretch here. Okay, I can do this. So you say you go to the Syndicate. So the darkest point in the Knights Templar was, I believe, it was when MKO's last time was ending. So early 2020, the Knights Templar was in a rough shape. I did quit for 6 months. The second half of 2019, I was gone for because half of it was actually that's not true. 20-30% of it was because of the war. The rest of it was because my real life situation became catastrophic, and I had no time left to spare to fight this like losing bullshit war. But December 2019, I came back, and I did have a serious internal discussion with myself about where I would go because things were looking bad. Now, thankfully, the war did end. It ended actually greatly, I would say. And Knights Templar, we half our members left. Our leaders left, except for Horsecock, and we managed to rebuild. And we treaded water for a while. And I think in the past year, we've really grown to something. Actually, year and a half, we've really regrown and have regained quite a bit of our former glory. But I had to ask myself, where am I going to go if this doesn't work out? And the two alliances I kept coming back to was the Syndicate and TKR. And I think that's because those are two powerful, significant alliances with just, I think, a lot of goodness behind them. And I also share the sentiment, I don't know if I would go to the Syndicate today. I think the Syndicate today is a bit different than the Syndicate of back then. But TKR still seems pretty decent. Where would I go today? Like tomorrow, if I got kicked out of KT? I'm too drunk to formulate a good answer. So there you go.
Right. Hey, I'm headed that direction myself.
What are you having? Eriko, I asked you
Yes.
an answer. What are you drinking tonight?
Oh yeah, I'm having beer, which is like a relatively slow burn for me.
Yeah, I tried getting drunk on hard Mountain Dew Baja Blasts, and it's like it's too slow. With bourbon, I can down a couple drinks pretty quick. They blitz. Beer, it's like, man, you really have to work for it, and I don't have the patience for that.
Well, more or less where I dial it in, because I've cut back on my drinking like significantly, is I'll just hang out with the 9% beer. You get a couple tall cans of that, and there you go. So.
That makes sense. I'm still new on my journey to become an alcoholic, so I guess my priorities are a bit different.
Oh yeah, no, I mean, you grow into drinking and then you grow out of drinking, I think.
What I guess the final real question I have is what do you think of the Fighting Pacifists like most recent couple war performances?
We're always getting better. And I think that's just sort of like almost our anthem at this point. And that's it. Every war we fight, we clear out a few more inactive members. Every war we fight, then the next phase after that is we're clearing out people who aren't declaring enough wars, and then after that we're slowly refining it. So I think that our war performance continues to improve. So yeah, if we're talking about the very most recent one, I mean, we got wailed on, but that's what's going to happen sometimes.
All right, Eriko, thank you so much for coming on. I think I'm going to release you back to the audience, and I can yap for 4 more minutes before I fuck this TKR guy.
Sounds good. Thanks for having me on.
Thank you for coming on. That was Eriko, everyone. He was actually a really good guest. I really appreciated him. I wanted 20-25 minutes out of him, and he gave me that. And I love it when people give me what I want.